This is so disgusting, shameful, inept. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and NBC's Today Show just did an interview with Richard Simmons' former longtime housekeeper, Teresa Reveles. And they interviewed her without asking any of the important and tough questions. They just cared about the exclusive. This is her first time chatting to the media since Richard suddenly died last year. Instead of being good journalists, they just propped her up. What am I talking about if you have no idea? Well, even before his death, many close friends of Richard's alleged that Teresa was keeping him away, isolated from his loved ones. Then, after his death, Reveles got into a fight with Richard's brother over money and his will. So, what does Teresa have to say? The toughest question, the most that she was pressed, she was asked about rumors that he was kidnapped. Framing it in such a way does a disservice to what was actually alleged. Nobody alleged that Teresa kidnapped Richard. So, of course, in this interview with the Today Show, her first time speaking out since his death, she laughed off the idea that she kidnapped Simmons. Quote, "No, I think he kidnapped me." Reveles worked for Richard since the 80s and had a very close relationship. In fact, remember, she was the one who discovered his dead body. I'm still not clear why she gave this interview, but Teresa told the Today Show, quote, "I never talk to anybody. Nobody knows my voice or who I am or what I did for Richard." Reveles began working for Richard in 1988 and lived with him. She says, alleging, quote, "He fell in love with me right away. That he says, 'No, you're never going to leave me.'" Reveles described her relationship with the late fitness icon, saying that it was, quote, "really like a brother," or "he was like my father, my friend, my boyfriend, my everything." When asked if they were romantic partners, she replied, "No." Of the last 10 years of his life, when he pieced out and said goodbye to public life, Teresa says, "We were very happy. And the last 10 years was the most happy years." Richard never talked about his sexual orientation publicly, and Reveles now says that it's not for her to discuss. Quote, "That answer is for Richard, not for me." When asked if she knew of a romantic partner that he ever had in life, Reveles said, "Me." Quote, "He never loved anybody like me. Well, he wasn't my lover, not sexually, but he kissed me all the time." She also saved hundreds of letters that Richard wrote to her after she was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 2023, with the messages saying how much she meant to him. Explaining why Richard decided to take a break from public life, she says that all of the years of teaching aerobics classes took a toll on his body. Quote, "He was not happy that he was getting old, okay? He says, 'No, I want people to remember me the way I was, full of life.'" And she says, upon discovering his body dead in the bathroom, I went to his bedroom and I found him dead, and that was crazy. A sad day. However, Teresa says that he died happy, just hours after celebrating his birthday. Very happy. Very, very happy. I never saw Richard in 36 years unhappy or mean or upset. I think this was a fumble by the Today Show. They should have asked more questions, more serious questions, more probing questions. Ugh. But still, why is she talking now? My spidey senses are tingling. And I don't know, I don't believe Richard loved her that way at all. What do you think? Let's discuss it all in the comments section.